Okay, hi. I am so sorry. We did not expect this to blow up the way that it did, but I am now going to tell the story of how I met my fiance on an airplane, and more importantly, how we started the flight not sitting next to each other and ended the flight sitting next to each other. And bear with me, it is a little bit long. But back in April of 2022, my little brother was studying abroad and I was flying with my family to go visit him. And my fiance had just visited LA, where I was living at the time, and he was flying back home to London. And so I boarded the flight and I noticed him right away. He boarded shortly after me. And I was like, okay, really cute guy in my row. And he ends up like fidgeting and dropping some things and he can't find them. And I see him struggling and I'm like, hey, like you should just like check the back of the plane after we take off. I've noticed my AirPods have like fallen before and they rolled to the back. And he's like, oh, thank you so much. I was like, yeah, talk to a hot guy. Woo. That was the end of it. In the meantime, I had texted my mom, who was sitting a few rows in front, and I was like, really cute guy sitting in my row. And she uses this as an opportunity to come back and check him out for herself. So my mother walks back and she's like, hi, sweetie, just brought you some snacks, and like is passing snacks. And this man is like passing them to me. And I'm like, this is so embarrassing. He probably thinks I'm 14. I'm nearly, at this point, 27, I guess. He probably thinks I'm 14 years old. I look like a high schooler. I'm dressed like a high schooler. I'm in sweatpants, no makeup, right? And I'm embarrassed. I'm like, this is over for me. He, on the other hand, uses this as an opportunity to go, is that your mom? I was like, oh, yeah, that's my mom. Great. And he actually ends up taking like an interest. He's like, oh, what are you doing? Why are you traveling? Where are you going? What are your activities? So we get chatting, and while this is happening, the girl in the middle seat comes and sits in between us. And I think because we were chatting, she assumed we were together, because about 5 minutes after sitting, she turns to him and she's like, oh, did you guys want to sit next to each other? He's like, no. And I was like, okay, probably for the best. Like, I don't know this man. He could be really weird. He could be a serial killer, and I don't want to be stuck with him, next to him for the next 12 hours if he is, right? So like for the best. And so the girl like puts her headphones in pretty quickly. She's like head on the tray table, passed out. And so we continue to talk over this girl. She like slept through dinner, breakfast, drinks, the entire flight. So we continue to talk over this girl while she is asleep. We talk about like why he's on this trip, why I'm on this trip. We start getting into some like relationship past, and it's like a very like fun conversation. Drinks come around. We've had like 2 glasses of wine at this point, and they're coming around like the final time, and he says something about like visiting London. I'm like, oh, I've been to London. Like, thanks though. And he's like, but have you ever been with a local? Have you ever like toured with a local? And I was like, no. And he's like, it's different. You should try it. And I was like, are you inviting me to London? He's like, maybe. Come find out. And I was like, okay, this man's flirting with me. This man is flirting with me. He does not think I'm 14. He knows I am of age. We've already talked about that. But like, this man is fully flirting with me at this point. And so the final drinks like come around before it's like sleepy time. It's a red eye. And I'm like, I'm feeling brave now. I've had my 2 glasses of wine on the plane, right? Like I'm ready to go. So I like turned to him. I'm like, nice to meet you. Like cheers to the next few hours. Not thinking anything of it. We cheers, lights go off, sleepy time, right? Like no more noise in the cabin. I'm like, okay, that was fun. Okay, this was really long, so I'm gonna do a part 2 of what happens next.